Ever had a slow external service bring down your entire app? Let's fix that today. In today's short video, we'll look at the time limiter from Resilience4j and how you can use it in a Spring Boot app to avoid hanging calls. A time limiter lets you enforce a timeout on method execution. It wraps your code in a completable future and cancels the call if it doesn't complete in time. It is most commonly used for remote API calls, DB queries, or any input-output bound operations. Think of a time limiter as someone setting a deadline. Either you respond in time or you're out. For those of you who don't know, Resilience4j is a lightweight fault tolerance library designed for functional programming. Resilience4j allows to add resiliency patterns to our Spring Boot application very easily. In this case, we are going to be focusing on the time limiter. Let me show you a diagram to better explain where the time limiter will be implemented. Here we can see the various packages of a weather app that is going to be implemented using Spring Boot. We can see the controller package that receives the actual call from the client. So as I said, the time limiter is going to be sitting in the client because that's where the actual API call to the external service happens, in this case to the weather API. So we're going to be using time limiter from Resilience4j to achieve this time limiting functionality. What happens is that if weather API does not respond in time, we are actually going to fail the call and go to a fallback method. But if the call is within the limits we have set for our time limiter, we are actually going to return the successful call we are going to receive back from the weather API. I have already downloaded a very simple Spring Boot application that I created using Spring Initializer. As you can see, I'm going to be using Maven with Spring Boot 3.5.4. And I've added a couple of dependencies such as Spring Web and Lombok. And that's all we need for now to start looking into how to implement this time limiter. So here we have our time limiter project. The first thing we need to do is actually go into the pom.xml file and add a couple of dependencies. So as you can see, we already have the starter web and Lombok dependencies we added to the Spring Initializer, but we're going to need a couple of extra dependencies. Let me just add them here. What you need to add is the Resilience4j dependency and the AOP dependency as well. Forgot to close. Let's indent. The other thing we need to add is a BOM dependency for Spring Web, which I'm going to add here at the bottom. This is the BOM for Spring Cloud, and this is going to manage the versions of the dependencies we import. We need to add the actual version for Spring Cloud. Now we've got all the dependencies we need and we're ready to go. So the first thing we're going to do is create a couple of packages in the java.main. So in here, let's create a controller package, which is going to be the entry point to our application. We are going to need a service package, and let's create a client package as well. Let's fill these with some classes. So the controller package is going to have the weather controller app. So let's call it weather controller. In the service class, we're going to have a weather service. And in the client, let's have the weather client. Let's start from the controller, which is our actual entry point to this whole flow. And this is going to be a REST endpoint. So let's add REST controller annotation. And let's also add the mapping. So in this case, this is going to look like API/v1/weather. Let's also create the actual endpoint, which is going to be a get endpoint to get the weather forecast. I don't want to focus too much on calling the external API. I want to focus more on how this time limiter is going to be implemented. As I said, the time limiter actually uses a completable feature, and that's why we're going to be returning a string from a completable feature. And that's because Resilience4j time limiter module works by wrapping the target method inside a completable feature, and that enforces a timeout using the Java scheduled executor service. The idea here is that Java doesn't support forcefully interrupting a normal method call that is taking too long. So Resilience4j uses completable future to run the method asynchronously and cancels it if it doesn't complete in time. Just so you know, the time limiter is designed to be non-blocking and asynchronous, so we cannot time out a normal blocking method. That's why this needs to be a completable feature. Let's call it getForecast. And in here, we are actually going to be calling the weather service .getForecast. So let's inject this weather service to our controller. And now let's go inside the weather service to create this weather forecast method. So this class needs a tag. So this is a service class. So let's add that. And now let's also create this method, which is going to return a string, and it's going to be getForecast. This is going to be calling the weather client. This is the actual class where the external API call actually sits. So we'll call it getForecast. And in here we want to inject the weather client. Okay, so now let's go to the weather client itself. Let's also add the annotation here. This is also a kind of service class. And what we want to do is create this method that is going to simulate a third-party API call. So as I said, this is going to return a completable feature, string, and let's call it getForecast. And this is what we're going to do inside here. I've added an asynchronous feature. This is to simulate a slow external API. And now what we need to do is actually add the time limiter. It's quite simple. We need to simply add time limiter, and then we need to give it a name. So I'll call it weather forecast limiter, and we need to provide a fallback method. So the fallback method will be called in case this time limiter is activated. So this is how this is going to look like. In this case, the fallback method can again be an API call to a secondary weather provider in case the first one fails. In this case, I'll just make it return a string and I'll call it fallback. Now we have added the time limiter annotation. You might be wondering, how do we set the actual timeout time? And to do that, we need to add a couple of properties into our application.properties. And here is how they look like. So we are going to be making these specific to that specific time limiter. So make sure this name, weather forecast limiter, is the same name you've put here on the time limiter in the client class. So if we go back, we can decide the timeout duration. So in this case, any call taking longer than 2 seconds will actually go to the fallback method. And if this fails, we want to just cancel the future running. So we'll just fail the call. This is up to you depending on the usage, but in this case, I'll put true. And this is all we need to implement a time limiter. Let's see this in action. So let's create a configuration for this application. Call it time limiter. Let's select the main class, apply and OK. Let's run this application. So application has started successfully. Let's go to Postman and let's actually call the endpoint we have just created, which is the weather forecast. If we call this, because this is taking 5 seconds, we are actually going to go to the fallback method. We got the fallback string that we hard coded. Let's go back to our method and let's reduce this sleep from 5 seconds to 1 second. And in this case, I expect this to work successfully and return success after delay. So let's restart our application and let's go back to our Postman. Let's click call. And as you can see, this time the time limiter was not called and we got a success response back. So you can see how useful this time limiter can be in various situations. Let's say you got a database integration and queries might take longer than expected. In that case, you might wanna fail or maybe call a separate instance of the same database in the fallback method. So you can see how simply we can implement a powerful tool such as a time limiter. And if you've ever wondered how I keep my coding skills sharp all year round, then let me introduce you to Brilliant. Brilliant helps you get smarter every day with thousands of interactive lessons in math, science, programming, data analysis, and AI. It's hands-on learning that actually sticks. Instead of passively watching videos, you're solving fun, bite-sized problems that train you to think like a real programmer. Whether you are learning a foundation or brushing up on advanced concepts, Brilliant makes it easy to learn anywhere, anytime with their mobile application. To try everything Brilliant has to offer for free for 30 days, visit brilliant.org/LeetJourney or scan the QR code on screen. You will also get 20% off an annual premium subscription. Huge thanks to Brilliant for sponsoring this video.